Good afternoon and welcome to the Sedro Woolley Rotary Club's Thursday meeting. Sedro Woolley Rotary Club, the best Rotary club in the, thank you. Saying for today is make sure your worst enemy doesn't live between your own two ears. Today's invocation is by Kyle. Oh, okay. That works too.
Let us pray. Dear God, let's be thankful for what we have, because it could be one heck of a lot worse as we're seeing on TV. Let's pray for the Ukrainians and the Russians and hope that they can resolve their conflict. Bless this food to our body. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Kyle. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Four-way test. The truth, is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Today's song, I think, is Jim Dillon. There he is, right over there. Jim.
Well, I have kind of a special occasion to be doing this in that MLB and the MLB Players Association can't get their act together, the greedy bastards. Excuse my French. The reason I'm saying that is I have flight tickets, hotel tickets, and baseball tickets to Fenway Park in Boston. They better be playing or I'm going to make some heads roll. And a buddy of mine that's going is a devout Boston fan. You can see I'm a devout St. Louis Cardinals fan for about 55 years. The last time the Cardinals and the Red Sox met, the Red Sox swept us in the World Series. Anyway, take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back for it's root, root, root for the home knows if they don't win, it's a shame.
It's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out
At the old ball game.
Thank you. And good luck to you, Jim, getting that settled. Do we have any visiting Rotarians?
I've got Sam Lowe, who's making up from Snohomish County. He's currently a councilman on the county council. Welcome, Sam.
Welcome, welcome. Any other visiting Rotarians? Any guests of Rotarians today? Lynn?
We've got Fire Chief Paul Wagner from District 6, and Frank doesn't really claim him, but not just a visitor, but pending his membership in our Rotary.
Okay, welcome, Paul. Thank you. Any other visitors? Okay, little club business. Last night, I get asked, and every week, if I have any update on Rick Kesrick, many of you know, but I talked to him on the phone last night, and frankly, he sounded great. If you didn't know that he was ill, you wouldn't have known it by his voice and his attitude. And what I sounded very good spirits. He's on an LVAD, which is a left ventricle assist device, which pumps blood through his left side. He said you can Google it and find out more about it, but apparently it's working, and it's working well. The thing that I found that was unusual is that you now don't have any blood pressure or a pulse. But he's doing very well. He says most people that have this get out of the hospital in 14 to 21 days. He got out in 9, and the doctors were amazed, and he's doing very well. He has to wear 2 battery packs while he's at home, and we'll have to wear that. And he's going to be going into cardiac rehab. He's doing some home health stuff right now, but going into cardiac rehab at 8 weeks after his surgery. He and Sherry plan on being at the auction, so I assume all of you will all be at the auction as well. He welcomes visitors, and if you've got the Rotary book, use the cell phone. Just said call up there because they're going to have to go have a lot of commitments with the health thing. So just call, but they really like to see anybody that's can get out to see them. There's an auction meeting next Thursday, the March 10th, 5:30. It's at a new location. It's going to be at the Janicki Building, which is the one right across the street from Banner Bank. So that's next Thursday. I'll remind you again next week. And not many people tell me they're not going to be at the Rotary auction. So I got a kind of kick out of this. I got a text yesterday. This is Don Ostrom. I missed Rotary last week with a cold. This week we are in Fairbanks. We're going to Circle Hot Springs today, and we'll be taking train to Anchorage tomorrow. I will miss Rotary this week. Not too cold for this time of the year, staying a little above 0 at night. Warms up to 25 during the day. I'll be back next Wednesday. When you go to a restaurant here, you better have a pocket full of money doing most of our meals. So I thought that was kind of cute, so I said share that. We're down to about 70 days on the auction. Do you have anything you want to say about the auction, Tim?
Yes, try to come up with live auction ideas, try to come up with your individual donations. And we're getting down to the point where we're starting to find the smaller details that need to be worked out. And this has been a little surprise because, you know, the 2 I've done before this, it was all online. So we didn't have to deal with all the dinner stuff. So I will be calling on people to start volunteering for certain positions. And next week, we're going to have the meeting and start working on that. And the next meeting, our next lunch meeting, I'll be asking for some volunteers for certain positions. So be thinking about that, see what you can do. These are usually going to be things to like set up on Thursday afternoon. We have the meeting at noon, and then we'll go over to the airport and start setting up the tables and everything. And then on Friday, it's pretty much all day long. We'll be setting up, getting all the food and drinks and everything set up, all the silent auction items, everything like that. So get those days on your calendar that it's the 5th and 6th of May that we really need your help over there at the airport. Thank you.
And you should all got an email from me about the live auction, and I appreciate. I got some pretty good responses, got some new items, and we're doing pretty well there. So keep that up. Dessert Dash, I'll bug you again on Ruth's behalf. Do you want to talk, or do you want me to?
Give me the mic. Woo! We have a dessert dash, people, and I need you, yes, you, all to sign up because I'm not baking 50 desserts. I'm just saying. No, I mean, I could, and they'd be spectacular. They would. I am quite the baker. I am, but I'm not baking that much. So today, go on to the little form. And if you don't know what you're bringing, just say, I don't know, but still sign up. And I'll send an email to everyone who signed up like 2 or 3 weeks beforehand and say, what you bringing?
There you go.
Great. Thank you, Ruth. Anyone else have any announcements out there? No one? Okay. Christina says the June team is having a work party on March 12th. I know nothing else about that, but I'm sure she's going to call you up.
Nine o'clock a.m. at Sedro Woolley Boys and Girls Club. Be there.
Very good. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Team June. Any other announcements? Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Moser for. No, we'll do this.
Okay, well, at this time, Bill McCann, come on up. Okay, so we're finally going to be able to reveal who won and who lost and all that good stuff. Bill is the head of the committee here. Bill has been driving this committee for years and years and years. And we all need to give Bill a big hand. So because we don't have a lot of time today, we're trying to cram everything into once. We're not going to go over the tests from last year. I'm just going to give you some results. Bill, you can go ahead and sit down now. Yeah. Just wanted to recognize you. Yeah. So I will give you a few facts here about this test. We've been doing this test, and I don't know, maybe somebody out there can tell me how many years, but it's been a long time. This year, 56 people took the test. The mean average score was 17 out of 25. So you can do the math. 68% doesn't pass much of anything. The winner and one other person actually got 88% on the test, so they should be proud of that. I mean, it's still a B+, but it's better in the other way. The winner of the Horse's Ass Trophy, the black ball here, actually only got 14 out of 25. 44% right. So, excuse me, I got that wrong. That's the wrong math. They missed 14 out of 25. They got 11 correct. So there's your math. Family groups. Just wanted to talk a little bit about families and who did what. Eric the senior, you beat your son, barely. Congratulations. The McCann family, Jeff far outshone his father. Dad's on the committee, so you know there's no cheating going on here because he didn't do all that well. Rothenbuehlers, Neil outdueled Chris by one question. Good job, Neil. And the Schweikerts, once again, Ellen handily beat Mike. Happens every year. And the Stiles family, finally, they both did well, but Brian, the judge, the other judge, had a slight edge on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of start in the middle. I'm going to go through, go up and down, let everybody know what you did. If you think you took the crystal ball test, why don't you go ahead and stand up? And as I call your name, go ahead and sit down. Teak, you can stand up. You took the test. Let's see. Sheena, you did not take the test. Nick, yeah, you took the test, Nick. You can stand up. Josh Requa, you should stand up. You took the test. See, this gives me pause right here. You can't even remember whether you took the test or not. Who else might? Louis, you're fine. Mr. Tesarik. No, you didn't actually take the test. Louis didn't take the test. Jim Dillon, you did take the test. Yeah. Mr. Tucker did not. Okay, I think I got everybody I need standing up here. Okay, so we're not going to try to embarrass anybody too bad, but we're going to start right at the average. The average score, 17. If I call your name, go ahead and sit down. Becky Ld. Christine Kilcup. Josh Requa. Aren't you glad you stood up, Josh? Neil Rothenbuehler. You can sit down. And our former police chief, Doug Wood, can sit down. Going the other way, down in the 16 correct. We've got Tomas Bensick. I don't know, an engineer who misses 36% of the time. I'm a little worried about. Paula, go ahead and sit down. Rick Lemley, score of 16. And Chris Rothenbuehler, 16. Going to the other end, with 18 correct, Bruce Berglund. And this is only 72%, by the way, so don't be too proud of it. Dan Cooney, Carl Garrison. 28% of the time you're wrong? Okay. Steve Massey, Jeff McCann, Mr. Rule, go ahead and sit down. Helen Schweikert, Brock Stiles, it's Susan Stratoff, and Nick Van Jarsveld. Now moving down to the other end, we're at the 15%. Keith Wagner. Now, this is a guy who wants to be the next Secretary of State of Washington. And he only got 15 right. I don't know. That's all he needs is 60%. There you go. And yeah, and he was right at the 60% mark, so he's good. Eric R. Johnson, Jolyn Kesty, Bill McCann, go ahead and have a seat. Mike Schweikert, Marilyn Solmsley, who was a guest, Keith Sorstead, and Miss Jada, you can go ahead and sit down. You had a 15. So going up to, let's jump up to 19. 19 correct. Carl DeYoung, Jim Dillon, good job. Tim Lear, Teek Martin, Mark Nilsson, Brian Ronk, Danny Russell, Mark Finn, and Ron Wilson all got 19 correct. Now we'll move down to the bottom here and just keep going down the bottom because, well, there's a few of you down here. With only 14 correct, we got Wayne Barrett, David Bricka, go ahead and have a seat. Daryl Heisler. Daryl, you're still working for the school district, right? Go take some of those math classes and figure this out. Eric Andrew, go ahead and have a seat. Chris Johnston. Now, I don't know whether we should be, Chris isn't here today, is he? He's what, COO, CFO, something of the hospital district over there, and he only got 14 right. I don't know. And that's our 14s. With only 13 correct, we had Dan Cooney and Dr. Sarah Kotlerman. I don't know. Let's see, we already did 19. Let's go ahead and we'll do the 20s. There were some people that actually got 20 correct. Tim Hallen, nice job. Steve Huggins, we should be proud. He handles our money. He's doing a good job. I managed to get 20 correct. Chad Paulson, nice job. 20 correct. Miss Ruth, great job. And Brian Stiles. Teek, did I miss your name here somewhere? You got 19 correct. You can sit down. Okay, so who do I have left? Standing up. Rich, you didn't actually take the test, so you can go ahead and sit down. Well, that's it. You didn't. So I've got Mr. Skiles and Mr. Brockman. Why don't you guys come on up front here? Now, there was one other person that got 88% right. And he unfortunately means he got 22 correct, but he's not here today and he lost on the tiebreaker. Wasn't even close on the tiebreaker. So Ali Kilshari, if you see him, congratulate him on getting 22 correct. So, Jada, you want to help me for a minute? Which trophy should we start with? Let's start with the crystal ball. Why don't you go ahead and peel that name off and present this trophy to Mr. Brockman, the winner of the crystal ball with 22 correct. Daryl, you can hold this proudly in your office and know that you got 11 correct. Congratulations to everybody. I want to thank everybody for filling out the test. Next year, we'll do it in person and have a great time. So thanks.
Okay, time to do the Wheel of Fortune.
Okay, our first number is 69. David Bricka. David's going to spin the wheel. David, you get beer. We owe you beer. You can give it to whoever. I think there's some beer in the closet there. B2. B2.
Paula, got
Miss
it?
Pola.
Paula gets a SAWAP swap CarQuest really cool surprise. It's a gift card, I would assume. And our final number, is this our final number, Neil, or are we doing another one?
It's up to you guys.
G55. Mr. Martin.
Let's do 4.
Okay.
What the heck?
Teak, you either get to sing a song, tell a joke, or pay $2.
I better pay $2.
Teak's gonna pay $2. And our final number, let's turn this thing on. Get one more. How about 25? I-25. Miss Ruth. With authority. If it's Janicki built, it'll hold up. Is that what I'm hearing? Of course it will. You get to go to Railroad Pub and Pizza. Very nice. Well, thank you. Good.
Thank you. Congratulations. How about Sergeant at Arms, Mike?
I can do that. You guys are gonna have to deal with me 3 times this month, so get used to it. I need a couple of people to pick up. And oh, by the way, if I call your name for whatever reason, for instance, if I were to say, oh, I don't know, Tim Lear, it's gonna cost you $1. And if I, Chad, it's gonna cost you $1, just because I called your name out. Early leavers, it's gonna cost you $2. Remember to pay that. Birthdays. We're just gonna do, I'm gonna read the list off, and somebody's gonna pay $2 for everybody on the list. So Bruce Berglund, who wants to pay for Bruce? Thanks, Lynn. Lynn will pay the $2 for Bruce. Sheena Burns has a birthday. Christine Kilcup. Jada will pay for Christine. Teak Martin, you've got a birthday. John Schmidt. Need somebody to pay for John. Okay, we got John right here. And Mike Schweikert all have birthdays this month. Anniversaries. Tomas Bensick. Anniversaries cost $3. So I'll pay for Tomas. Becky Eldy. Chad, you're a realtor. You can pay for Becky. John Janicki. Do we have any Janicki's here? We got people that work at Janicki's. Which one of them wants to volunteer to pay for John and collect? Thanks, Josh. Joan Kesty. Do we have anybody from the city? Anybody here? Yeah. Lynn, thank you. Rick Lemley. There you go. Dan Sims and Keith Sorstad. So I need somebody to pay for Dan and somebody to pay for Keith, please. If you don't have your badge on, that costs you $2. And oh, finally, a new season for baseball, softball, soccer, tennis, track and field, and all those good. If you got a kid playing in any of the sports, go ahead and pay $1. Okay. And then back to the auction. If you have not donated anything yet, if you have not got an item out there, silent, live, whatever, please pay $1. If you haven't attended a meeting, pay $1. If you haven't volunteered for the dessert dash, pay $1. Does anybody know whose birthday it was yesterday? Historical figure, author, I'll give you that hint. Whose birthday is on March 2nd? Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss's birthday was yesterday. Widely celebrated around the world. You know, in the world of children's literature, Dr. Seuss is probably the most famous author and cartoonist. His works included 44 books during his lifetime and many more discovered after he died. So in honor of Dr. Seuss's birthday, we're going to have some questions about Dr. Seuss. So we'll start right here. What was his real name? See, that's an easy one. What year was he born in, though? 1912, close, 1904. So he would have been 118. Pay a buck. Moving on to this table. You know what college he went to? Any idea? He did go to college. Dartmouth College. You might as well get your wallets out. It's going to cost you one way or the other. Like many great authors, his books were not an immediate success. In fact, he almost burned his first book, which was rejected by 27 publishers. What was his very first book that was published? Go Dog Go is not even close. And To Think I Saw It on Mulberry Street was published in 1937. So go ahead and pay a buck there, guys. Green Eggs and Ham is probably his most popular book. He wrote the book because of a bet with the publisher. Do you guys know what the bet was? Care to guess? His publisher bet him that he couldn't write a story using only 50 words. So there you go. It was published in 1960. So I guess this is for Rich and Jada.
Oh, throw Teak in there. We need his.
Oh, yeah, T, you can
And
be part
Eric.
of this group too. And Eric, okay, you guys are all one group here. There you go. Did Dr. Seuss, did he invent the word nerd? True or false?
Word nerd?
Nerd.
Yes.
Well, I got a false and a true, so I mean,
Jada, you decide.
gonna go false. That would be incorrect. It's true. He actually used it in If I Ran the Zoo, published in 1950.
Okay, thank you. Happy bucks, please.
Anybody, somebody's happy out there. Ruth's happy.
I am just pleased as punch to see this wise man win the crystal ball. Here's 20 bucks.
He's not your boss anymore, Ruth.
Mr. Brockman's got a happy 22. He's happy that he's wise. Who else is happy? Anybody? Carl, oh, we'll start over here. We'll go with Nick. 20.
I'm happy to be here again. My assistant had a knee replaced, so I was MIA from Rotary for a little bit, so happy to be back.
Welcome back.
So I'm happy. I went to Pioneer Market this morning. That's the one, the old one here in town that they rebuilt. And they said, "Do you want to donate your change to the high school seniors?" And I said, "What? Yeah, what's that all about?" He says, "Well, they couldn't do any fundraising because of COVID, so we're helping them fundraise for their senior trip and other things." And I said, "Hey, great, keep the change." So I encourage you all to do that. That's really a great thing that they're helping them out.
Dick.
Hey, happy 20 that Rotary International accepted my final documentation for our global project in a little village in outside Copan Ruinas, Honduras, where we started a OB clinic and general clinic there. So that's going well, and 5 years in getting this done, but it's done, accepted. And the other happy part is we did get our district grant to help our village, Carasolita, too, with building a third classroom, 78 students in 2 classrooms with 2 teachers. So I think we'll get that third classroom done and hopefully inherit an extra teacher for them. And with the district grant, we get to help 2 other schools too. So I'm real happy about all that. Thank you, everyone, for your support.
Hey, anybody else?
Anybody else?
It's all
Okay.
you, Rich.
Time for early leavers, and if you leave, you're going to miss a very interesting program. And I'm going to call Jade up here to introduce our speakers.
Okay, I'm going to keep it real short and have Andrea and Barb from Bridget Collins come up and share with us a little bit about what they do. Welcome them, please.
Thank you, Jada. My name is Barb Lupo, and I am the Donor Development Officer for Bridget Collins in Whatcom, Skagit, San Juan, and Island counties.
And my name's Andrea Harrison, and I'm the Deputy Director of Development and Communications.
Before I get going, I'm going to go off script a little bit because you have all reminded me the value of something we're going to talk about today, and that is community. How important it is that you gather together and honor not only each other, but each other's works, and how that makes community really the heart of the work that you do. So thank you for having us. Like I said, thanks for having us. We are here to share a little bit about the Bridget Collins Family Support Center's work in Skagit Valley. For years, the Skagit community has invested richly in children and families and the commitment that every child is ready for kindergarten and provided the opportunity for healthy development. Programs such as Help Me Grow, Bright Beginnings of Skagit, The Family Promise of Skagit Valley, and Welcome Baby remind us that nothing is more important than the health and safety of our children. We are proud and honored to be part of the work in Skagit Valley. But before we talk specifically about our work and how it helps children and families, I'd first like to share a little bit about our history, where our funding comes from, and what really is a family support center. Originally founded in Bellingham in 1990, Bridget Collins Family Support Center is the living legacy of a group of volunteers who had hopes of better coordinating the community's response to child sexual abuse. Today, we take a more comprehensive approach and work to build a future in which all children are safe, healthy, nurtured, and free from child abuse. We serve more than 2,000 families each year in Skagit, Whatcom, and Island counties, and we work to achieve our mission by building strong, healthy families, providing compassionate treatment and services when abuse does occur, and the prevention and through education to stop abuse from happening. How are we funded? In 2020, our operating budget was $3.3 million. As a 501c3 nonprofit, over 60% of our revenue comes from federal grants distributed through the state, including the Department of Commerce, Department of Justice, and the Office of Crime Victims Advocacy. Community and grants comprise 20% of our funding, and individual donations and our special events comprise the remaining 20% of our funding. So what exactly is a family support center? Really, we're hubs for families to access information, services, referrals, and support that strengthens families and improve outcomes for kids. Families are experiencing more hardships than ever due to COVID-19 and the other challenges of their lives. Understanding and navigating the evolving landscape of social services and supports can be overwhelming and complicated. Family support centers make this navigation easier and more accessible as they are developed and operated by their community, and they know what is best in their community. Research shows family support centers save the child welfare system, millions of dollars. For every $1 invested, up to $3.65 is saved. Additionally, communities with family resource centers have a 26% lower rate of child abuse and neglect investigations than communities that do not have family support centers.
All right, so how does Bridget Collins specifically support kids and families and improve community health here in Skagit Valley? So like Barb mentioned, our mission is to end child abuse, and we envision a world in which all children are safe, healthy, and nurtured. And we strive to create a healthier community by targeting some of the most serious and most consequential health concerns impacting kids and families today. So to make an impact, we work to build communities that respond compassionately when child abuse does occur. But also we provide prevention, healing, and justice. So at our nationally accredited Children's Advocacy Center, it's located on 3rd Street in Mount Vernon, we promote a collaborative child-centered response to child abuse by working closely with law enforcement, prosecuting attorney's office, medical providers, CPS workers, child protection workers, therapists, advocates, all. So we're a multidisciplinary team there to reduce the trauma that the kids are facing and find healing and justice that they deserve. In 2019, we hosted over 100 forensic interviews here in Skagit, thanks to the partnership with the prosecuting attorney's office. With COVID restrictions and school closures in 2020, that number dropped to less than 50, but now with an ease in the restrictions and more teachers and school personnel reporting their suspicions of abuse, we're seeing a steep increase in the need for forensic interviews. So to ensure that children are provided the opportunity to develop healthily in nurturing environments, we also do a lot of work to support healthy parent-child relationships and also work to create safe environments by providing therapy, numerous different models of parent education, home visits, intensive case management, and also mentorship programs. So I could talk about like all day about our programs. So we kind of picked a few to talk about and focus on that are some of them are kind of our bread and butter, like our CAC that I mentioned. But then also we're going to talk a little bit about some new exciting projects and programs that we're able to offer. So one of our bread and butter programs is our Parent-Child Assistance Program, also known as PCAP. It's an evidence-based 3-year case management program for parenting or pregnant moms in recovery. So they've used drugs and alcohol while they were pregnant. So the goal of this program is to address their health needs, build social connections and healthy families, get them sober and clean and thriving, and also prevent future births of children that were exposed to drugs and alcohol in the womb. The program was developed in 1991 by the University of Washington and has approximately a 96% success rate. Additionally, we provide an innovative home visiting program. It's a parenting support program known as Parents as Teachers, and work closely with the Skagit County Department of Health's Nurse Family Partnership. So this program serves Spanish-speaking families solely with children prenatal to age 5 who have high needs and have faced a lot of trauma. I won't go into the nitty-gritty trauma-related words, but essentially they've had a lot of hardship in their life. And so the goal is to build healthy families and ensure children are ready to learn and succeed in school. And currently, right now here in Skagit County, we provide 29 families with this service that's, as I mentioned, provided in Spanish. We also provide more general case management services in both English and Spanish. We provide trauma-informed therapy, parenting support, all to ensure that families have the support and resources they need to thrive today and in the future. One of our newest programs, Parent for Parent, offers support and mentorship to parents who have recently been engaged with child protective services or are navigating the child welfare system because their children have been removed from their home because of abuse or neglect. The primary goal of this program is to educate parents about the child welfare system, provide support to help them navigate through all the different complicated procedures and processes, and reunite parents with their children when safe and possible. The mentorship is provided by a former Bridget Collins client who has been through the process of having their child removed from their home. They successfully navigated the system, and now their child has been returned back to their home and care. Currently, there's a waiting list for this program, and it's getting longer and longer each day. We also proudly host a child abuse prevention training known as Stewards of Children. It's a 2-hour training that empowers and teaches adults how to recognize, respond, and prevent to child abuse. It's the only child abuse prevention program in the nation shown to increase awareness of child sexual abuse, improve attitudes about adult responsibility, and increase protective behaviors of kids. We provide the training virtually once a month. Thanks to COVID, we used to do it in person. Hopefully we'll get back there. So once a month to the public, but we also provide the training by request to any group, book clubs, schools, universities, nonprofits, service clubs, anybody who wants it, we're there. And then before I pass it off back to Barb, I wanted to talk briefly about 2 new exciting projects that we have going. So first is our work to enhance our partnership with the Naval Air Station Whidbey Island Family Advocacy Program to better serve military affiliated children and families. So we recently hired a new case manager to do that specific outreach to the military base and build relationships so we were able to serve those families and provide them the support and resources they need that they might not get on base. And then second, last month we were awarded a recovery and acceleration grant for community-based organizations through the Office of Superintendent Public Instruction to support students and families struggling to recover from COVID. So the grant will allow us to serve Anacortes, Burlington Edison, Mount Vernon, and Oak Harbor school districts and provide ongoing case management, therapy, parenting, mental health, behavioral health services for students and their families. And these families will have had to have been severely impacted by COVID and are having trouble getting back on track. And so while Sedro Woolley District is currently not a recipient of the services through this grant that we received, we'd love to extend the opportunity to serve Sedro Woolley School District, and all we need is a letter of support, and we already have it written. So we really just need a signature if at all the Sedro Woolley School District is interested. So I think I'm going to turn it back to you, Barb.
With all of that said, you can see that we have quite a few programs in each of our communities, and we really try to focus on the community and the needs and to meet families where they are, which would be our bilingual programs that we really focus on in Skagit County. So really, with that said, these are just some of the programs that we use to build strong, healthy families and a safe community for all. It takes all of us. For instance, we have the generosity of the Sedro Woolley Women's Seroptimus Club, who provides us with a grant each year for our Emergency Assistance Fund. Last year in the Skagit Valley, we were able to distribute over $45,000 in emergency needs to our clients, things like help with transportation, diapers, clothing, and food to families that would ensure that their child's basic needs were met. 85% of families, as you probably know, in the Skagit Valley are low income or extremely low income, and our emergency assistance program fund is critical for the well-being of everyone. While child abuse rates have dropped from 1 in 4 children to 1 in 10 children over the past 20 years, financial stressors and the mental crisis and recent spike in child investigations is a reminder that we as a community still have much to do to protect and nurture the health of children everywhere. Every child deserves the opportunity to thrive, to succeed in school, to not be hungry, and to live in a community that values the health and safety of all of its citizens. I say this often, Bridget Collins' mission is mighty. It's to end child abuse. But every child deserves that opportunity. They deserve to live in a community where they don't face the fear of neglect. With partnerships like that of Sedro Woolley Rotary Club and the other clubs within the Skagit Valley, we feel that our work is possible here. Thank you for inviting us. We'd love to answer questions if you have any, and thanks again.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess more examples of what kind of cases of child abuse that we see and how we help them. Is that kind of what you're looking for? Okay. There's not really a typical case, I would say. As we kind of mentioned, we were formed solely to better respond when child sexual abuse happens. And now we work to end child abuse more comprehensively. So we see kids who have been severely neglected, left in a crib, not touched for days, thrown a bottle, malnourished, not developing healthy, those kinds of things. We also, not as much, but we will provide supportive services for kids who have been physically abused. I think y'all can imagine what that looks like. And then I think the majority of our services are to help kids who've been sexually abused. So again, there's not really a typical case, but about 90% of the time, this child is being raped, molested by a family member or someone that they know and trust. Oftentimes, I think people think that it's like the weird old guy in the van trying to get kids with candy. When it comes to child sexual abuse, that's not actually the truth. Like I said, it's like 90% of the time or more, it's someone that's in this kid's life that's already gained trust of the kid's parents, the kid's social circles. That's why it works. That's why it happens. Does that help? And I mean, so how we help them, we provide 25 different evidence-based services. So we give them therapy, we can provide therapy to the parents, case management services, that's kind of like a broad term, but essentially it helps families and kids navigate the systems and different resources. So maybe they need housing support, we'll hook them up with housing support. Maybe they can't find a job, we'll get the parent hooked up with the job or Job Corps or something. So we support them in all kinds of ways. No, so I guess in that instance, it would be the child's abused, the parent's struggling financially without a job. So our case management team will support the parent to find a job that's steady and successful to help all on behalf of the kid's well-being. Yeah. Did I miss anything, Barb?
I think really we look at what we try to explain today is in order to prevent child abuse, we have to educate. And we have to educate our whole community, but we have to work on the education within the family, because if and when a child is abused, the whole family unit has trauma to deal with. And it takes a wraparound of services to uncomplicate that journey and lead people on a more healthier path of living. My story that I use is the very first story that I heard. And it is about a family, a mom and two girls who came to actually walk him. And it was a young girl. She was about 5. And she had disclosed to her mom that something that made her really uncomfortable. So they came and did a forensic interview. And the sister, who was 9, sat outside. We have a lovely waiting room and really warm and kind of really friendly, and sat outside while the interview took place. And the interview was finished, and the little girl came out and her mom came out, and the older daughter was kind of hemmed and hawed and looking around, and she asked her sister how to go. And she said, fine, the lady's so nice. And it was like kind of an easy conversation for her to have. And so they started to leave, got kind of a little walkway and walked up, and the oldest girl was first. And she turned around and looked at her mom and said, well, that happened to me too. So our job is really to take this horrible incident that happens in people's lives and help them flip it around. And in order to do that, these are just kind of a smattering of the programs that we provide to do that for families. And we really can't do it without the help of the rest of the community. And that's from the Stewards program on. So does that help? Yes.
So you spoke about reporting. What's a typical process for reporting, and how are you typically brought into the situation?
Okay. So it's really common for kids to disclose something that's been happening to them. Obviously, they're kids, so they're not very detailed in their story most often. But typically, a lot of times they'll disclose to a teacher. So I'll just kind of use that as an example. So a kid discloses to a teacher. The teacher is actually by law required to report that. So they contact law enforcement, they contact Child Protective Services, and then kind of their duty as a teacher and the mandated reporter is done. But then what will happen is CPS kind of analyzes the situation, the details. Then they'll either do intake, or it'll be passed off to another team that if it's not super high risk, or if the child isn't in immediate danger, the intake will go off to that team, and then they'll keep an eye on the situation. But if it's a more high risk situation, and the child is more in danger, then immediately the law enforcement agency, local law enforcement agency, will get involved. And that's kind of where Bridget Collins comes in. So law enforcement, in conjunction with prosecutor's office, will come and into our Children's Advocacy Center. A forensic interview will be provided. And then from there, it's handed off for investigative purposes to try and convict a person if necessary or not. But what also Bridget Collins is able to do is we have an advocate or a case manager work with the family and then identify what other supports they might need. So maybe that's therapy. Maybe they, like I mentioned before, maybe they need support with finding secure housing. Maybe they are struggling to pay their light bill. Maybe they want some parenting classes. We are able to provide all those different things for that family to, like Barb mentioned, like just turn the situation around, have a little bit of hope. And also just to acknowledge that like they're not in it alone. We're there to walk through this terrible thing that's happened in their life. And we'll do everything we can to support them in as many ways as we can. And oftentimes, not often, but sometimes if we don't have the actual service in-house, that's the case manager's job, is to find that resource that maybe Bridget Collins isn't able to provide, but that another community service organization can provide. And then we'll get the family referred there to get whatever services needed that we can't provide. So I hope that was helpful.
I got a question I've wanted to know a little bit more about for a long time. I'll give you a little background. I got two brothers, two sisters-in-laws, and now a daughter-in-law that taught public schools. And my generation, growing up in the 50s and 60s, me and my two brothers feel like we probably had the best two parents that ever lived as far as parenting is concerned. But my question is this: with this generation of parents and the upcoming generation of parents, do you folks see that there's any difference in bad parenting? Is there an escalation in that problem, or is it about the same it was maybe back 2 generations ago?
I think what we see is the challenges are different than when we grew up, and that provides the opportunity for more complex problems. I think that's what we see as much as anything. I don't think parenting is different. However, having just said that, one of the ways that we are developing, we continue to develop, is a parenting program that is accessible to any parent facing a challenge in their parenting process. So you don't have to be a parent that has experienced abuse or have abuse in your family. This is a separate community-wide program that we provide both in Skagit and in Whatcom right now, and in Woodby, that it supports parents on their journey of parenting. And it's their evidence-based programs, their therapies and case management that works. It's been proven to work. And we do provide that service also, because that is one of the ways that we can do our part in assuring being part of the healthy toolkit for each community that we're in.
Yeah, I would just echo what Barb mentioned, is that I don't think like parenting has gotten worse per se, but I just think that the world's a lot different. There's different stressors, hardships. I mean, there's not that there wasn't war many years ago, but like it's more complicated social issues, it seems, that are showing up that exacerbates the other issues that families might be facing. So, yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. It really depends on what program or service they're being provided. The parent-child assistance program that I talked about briefly, serving moms who had used drugs or alcohol during pregnancy. So that's a 3-year model. So we work with that mother for 3 years. And even after graduation, if that mom still needs support, we're there to provide it in a different way, maybe a different program. So really, we meet the family where they're at, and we'll work with them as long as we need to. We're never going to say, oh, like, we're tired of you, get out of here. Or, sometimes it's one time is really helpful, and then our doors are still open if they want more support. But it's all really up to the family and the parent to engage in a service, typically. Sometimes we'll work with families that have had their children taken away because of abuse, and they're required to do, say, 10 sessions of parenting. So we do work with those families too. So we just meet their need wherever, whatever needed, we'll be there. Short, long, forever, never, anything in between.
Thank you very much for that program. And I just want to add, part of what they do there, as far as we're concerned, and Lynn can indicate that, when law enforcement gets a referral, we have in our office, they bring that case right to us because we have a highly trained forensic interviewer, a woman who has been trained all over the country to do the interviews, because there's a wrong way and a right way to do interviews, and you can really screw them up if you don't ask the right questions or in the right way, depending on how old the children are. The thing is really a traumatic thing for a child to go through. That's why I have only 2 lawyers that generally do these cases. We have an interviewer. And part of it is we're trying to make it a real smooth transition through the process. And part of that is the calming atmosphere that Bridget Collins offers us to do our interviews, and the help that they give it. It makes it a lot easier to get the children through the process. So they're really a great asset to the community. So with that, thank you, ladies. Is there any other announcements or anything anyone has to say? Well, with that, I will call the meeting to adjourn. If you can.